All right, Justin.
So excited for the draft.
I want to hear your brain, your thoughts, because I know you're a smart player. I've seen you do smart things. What do you think about the draft that's been going on so far?
I mean, it's cool to see all the different metas kind of melt together here. When you get to an international LAN, you have these pocket picks now already with things like the Kerrigan being immediately banned. That's something that is very team specific. That is not something you're normally going to see. Ultralisk, most likely the receiving end of the Kerrigan ban. There's so many things that are just strong right now, though, that it seems a little weird. They're looking to choke out the melees, which traditionally is something I would be a little bit concerned for Cure in that situation. But after seeing his Hanzo in the last game, maybe not. That's been something I've been critical of him on, is that it felt like he was just stronger and more comfortable in the melees. But willing to ban them out against Ultralisk just shows a lot of confidence coming out from Cure.
And we talked about it earlier in the broadcast. Thank you for joining us today. First off, welcome. Second off, Kerrigan's incredible in Infernal Shrines, being able to build up those shields. You're able to burn through all those minions. I believe Cattle actually called them monkeys back in the day. And if you kind of look at it, they got that monkey look to them.
Yeah, that's kind of that's just been the slang since the beginning of time, it seems, for the Infernal Shrines.
They're just cattle to be slain.
That's just what they are.
The big Punisher. We have a Blaze and a Brightwing pickup. Brightwing continues to be a focus for a lot of our European teams, bringing that global pressure to soak if they need to, if they ever get behind. But also because they try to bait out hard engages, and the moment that engage happens, you jump on with the phase shift, and then you blink heal out. Tychus and Rhaegar for our second and third, a strong foundation, a tried and true.
This is also reminiscent of the previous series, the series that I subbed, the game that I subbed in for. It feels like the European priority is more in these things like the Blaze and the Brightwing. When we were on the stage, I was literally saying, like, it's going to be Tychus Rhaegar, and they do the exact same first 3 picks again from that last Infernal Shrines. 30K has a strategy for the map, and they're running the exact same first 3 picks from their last Infernal Shrines game. And then it's the same response, too. So we're seeing like the NA versus EU meta really just come into fruition here. Just it seems like they're kind of figuring it out.
It's beautiful, isn't it? It's like watching a painting on a canvas. It's like, oh, this is so great. I want to experience this every day of my life. The Blaze and Brightwing, just so you guys understand here, it's mostly a macro focus. That's what Europe's always been about: controlling bushes, controlling lanes, making sure that your top laner can be efficient and be able to rotate down when you need them. So you get that wave clear, you get that bulkiness. All right, so we have a Falstad ban coming out. Falstad ban is a little interesting. It looks like they want to make sure that there is no attempt for a disengage being allowed for BangBush.
Yeah, it's another potential flex ban as well, having the Falstad alongside the initial Kerrigan and the Maiev. So, and they do have the pick earlier here for the side of 30K if they're going to look to take their flex. And Ultralisk will have the option to pick anything, but he's going to be getting kind of Cure's scraps here with the picks and the bans in the order. He won't get the counter pick, but he will get probably just that priority of the flex pick between Ultralisk and Cure.
Where's the Urel? The Urel is usually a normal pickup for Liam. Oh, it's a Chromie and a Urel. All right, then. So is this a temporal loop or a slowing sands, you think?
It's probably a slowing sands. I know Madara definitely favors that. Madara, one of the best Chromies we have in NA, if not the best. He kind of made a name for himself playing the Mephisto.
I used to play Chromie. Are you saying he's better than me?
Madara is known for being the second best Chromie in NA.
You can say it. You can say it. It's fine. Justin, you're amazing. The Malthael pick coming out for a 5th pickup. We haven't seen any Malthael. Normally good for burning down those tanks, but potentially looking for a last rites.
Yeah, it's a cool pivot to see. It is a melee, so not kind of the typical double range that we've seen more priority on. Also into Chromie, she has things like the time trap that can be a bit of a counter. You do have the option to go with the temporal loop if you think that you can actually get a one-shot between the Tychus and the Chromie. It's a very risky pick to take the Malthael. There isn't a ton of disengage on the side of 30K, but it's just all in for BangBush. It's just permanent aggression with that Malthael last pick.
I do like the cleanse that's available on level 13 for Malthael to kind of help out a little bit, but I totally echo your sentiment. You're going to be forcing a lot, especially out of that Chromie. All right, here we go. It's going to be Infernal Shrines, game number 1 in a best of 5 series. 30K taking on BangBush, the number 1 seed versus the number 2. I'm hyped. Justin, you're hyped, right?
I'm hyped.
He's hyped. Let's go ahead and hop into it, guys, as we hop on the map. I'm going to let you take the first intro here, as I believe we'll be doing the left team first.
So on the side of 30K, the first seed from NA, we have Cure playing the Tychus, Urel being played by Liam, Cattle playing Diablo, Madara playing his Chromie, and Legacy playing the Rhaegar.
And on the far right side in the red, hitting on Brightwing, Blaze being played by Swamp Grotto. Gonna have Nagram playing a Nubrak, Skog on Sylvanas, and Ultralisk will be showing off the Malthael. Hey, there they are in all their beauty as they finally pop up. All right, so for you, What is important for 30K and their composition?
So 30K's composition has the stronger double range, the stronger damage just in general between the Chromie and the Tychus. Chromie Tychus is just a really solid two-man unit of damage. It's just creates this zone that you can't really enter, especially on the Shrine post-level 10. You'll have things like Odin that just create a lot of zoning potential, the Chromie, which also creates zoning potential in the chokes on the Shrine, but then you also have the percent damage to kill tanks. So it's just a very well-rounded backline, front-to-back composition for 30K. Very easy to play, very set up on the Shrine early and just bully them off. Whereas on the other side, BangBush has to play very fast, and they have to have very clean engages, or else they will just lose the sustained fight.
And that will come from the form of a Nubarak and Blaze getting that engagement. It'll get better at level 10 as well. You want that last rights, but already some pressure on that top lane. Liam getting burned down to 20% of his HP, has to tap early. Fast damage coming in from Blaze and Sylvanas. Man, Sylvanas will surprise you when she gets on top of you.
Yeah, the 2v1 in the top lane, not something that Liam's a big fan of, but in response, we see 30K actually rotating up their Tychus to have a little bit of 2v1 off-lane action for themselves. Unsure if they're going to be able to get the Blaze. He's getting low, but they probably don't have the finishing power with just the two. They do bully him out of lane, though.
Yeah, that's the power of Blaze, man. Walks away from pretty much anything. But that does... I like Tychus being able to rotate over and just like, all right, Liam, that kind of sucks. Let's help you out. Make sure that you're set up on the lane. And Liam's already setting up for that on the right. He's going to try and get that wave clear. And with Blaze fully leaving, this does leave open a play on the bottom side of the map. As you see right away, BangBush is grabbing that bottom camp, grab the right camp as well. So they're up on a Merc camp. However, on the opposing side, 30K is in a great position to defend.
Yeah, and so both teams did look for the 2v1 in the top side, but it was done earlier by BangBush. So they actually end up getting this camp as kind of a reward for that, for being a little bit more proactive on the map. Both teams trade their individual camps, but the neutral camp, a very small lead going over to the side of BangBush in the early game.
I like Henning trying to slow down Uro. Don't allow her to mount up. Give time for Blaze to get that wave pushing so they can have an advantage in the team fight. It's going to be a constant tug of war between the top lanes. That is for sure. Cattle in the middle, helping out with a clear. Ooh, Kier coming on the right side, but with Nagram being able to retreat away, he will not take any pressure. And when it's all said and done, we're going to be around level 5 for both of our teams, as the first Shrine will be spotting to the top.
Yeah, things are pretty even going into this first Shrine. Most likely, it's a little bit better setup for BangBush, having the Malthael, having a character who can just solo the Shrine. That's a really important thing to have in your composition if you want to kind of split or be able to play just a little bit more aggressively in general around the
bottom
Shrine.
left. Engage on Diablo.
Cattle does escape. He is okay. He is Diablo, being a big beefy boy. But it's going to be difficult for the side of BangBush to kind of snowball that lead if they're not able to get like 1 or 2 kills and the objective. If it's even to level 10, it's just a lot better for the side of 30K if they make it evenly to 10, because when they get on the Shrine and they set up with their ultimates, it's nearly impossible to force a fight on the side of BangBush. They need to fight so quickly that the burden of execution is just heavily on BangBush.
I can agree with that, but I also think that if they want to go for the execution, BangBush has the ability to get into the fight ASAP with the Nubarak and Blaze. So if they want to like, kind of linger and watch for those smokes and try to make sure that Nubarak's in a position to lock someone down, because they definitely want to take out this Diablo. I mean, you see it over and over again with this composition between Nubarak and Blaze. Impale, follow up, throw charge, miss it in, get that last rights. Already we see Cattle down to down to half HP, which sets up that last right to level 10. Like, this is going to be the combo over and over. Ancestor healing from Legacy has to be perfect.
And this is the moment where BangBush should be stronger in the game, having the Malthael, being able to solo out the Shrine very easily with not a lot of resources required, mostly just the auto attacks.
Yeah.
You see 30K, for the most part, gave the objective. They got maybe 1 mid-wave, so not a huge advantage gain, but we'll see if BangBush is able to actually push this advantage further, maybe get a kill, maybe get a fort. The expectation is that they only really get the front wall, maybe a little bit of fort damage, but if they can get more, that's huge for them getting ahead to the level 10s.
One thing that I used to see from a lot of players, oh, hang on, Burrow charge over, Malthael goes well, Ultimus keep him with the auto attacks, into a time trap, blocking them in. They actually stay alive, and a Nubarak gets deleted. Kier with the 5-headed play, but another pick comes in. That's going to be 2 possibly going down, maybe a 3rd. Ultimus once more, he can't quite get it, but at least he can take the fort with Sylvanas.
What looked like an incredible bait coming out from Madara, using his Diablo as bait with the time clocks ready, goes just a little bit wrong, where BangBush does get the 2-for-1. That's a good enough advantage for them. They force their advantage, they force their lead like they need to do with their aggressive composition. It's really good to see that decisiveness coming out from them with a comp that's just you need to have perfect initiation to make it work. So to be able to see them have that, push their advantage, play aggressively, it's good to see with a comp that's difficult to play.
Very difficult engage there, but they make it pull off. It's a 2-for-1 trade, but the experience continues to take a lead here for BangBush. We move towards that level 10. Those heroics we've been talking about that we've been building up. Speaking of heroics, Chromie having hers early, that's fun. Already coming with the Slowing Sands.
Yeah, the Slowing Sands does make sense. They do have a lot of tools to deal with the time loop. Yep. They have the Malthael who potentially take the Unstoppable. You have even just Bunker. You have a Nubarak. There's just a lot of tools to deal with that. The Slowing Sands makes sense. And at level 10, when you get the Odin to pair with it, it's just a lot of zoning going to be able to come out.
I didn't even think about that. That's dirty. Slowing Sands, big AoE on top of it, but hang on, a fight here on the bottom. Skog able to retreat there thanks to some beautiful movement with his Banshee. Ultra was trying to hold down that front line. Another Jet Propulsion coming out from Swamp, seeing if they can try and lock it down. At the same time, Urel building a little bit of a fight on the top right. Will have to be forced out, and the 10 finally comes in for BangBush.
Yeah, really nice phase shift coming out there from Henning, able to save Skoog, able to get into the back of the team, just quickly in and out on the side of the Sylvanas. Skoog is a player that I've seen him play pretty much everything, and it's cool to see him play a melee just as well as a ranged. There, he's playing like a melee, but ends up using it as sort of a bait to try to get another fight. They want to fight off the Shrine on the side of BangBush. They want to look for picks, whereas 30K almost shouldn't take a single fight off the Shrine, so we'll see if both teams are kind of hyper-aware of their win conditions and if they play to that just purely, or if either team gets a little bit too over-eager or overzealous.
Diablo finishes his passive there, so should be able to come back. Another Time Talk connects on top of Nagrim, but I believe he scouted that out and even drops his Beetle. Walks away, doesn't freak out too much, doesn't need to burrow charge. That 11-10 lead continues. They're setting up for a potential gank here on the left. Cattle's been stepping further ahead of his team than normal, but oh my gosh, good scouting come in from Chromie. I see what you're saying about his Chromie. I'm liking what I'm watching.
Yeah, Madara Chromie is one of the best, if not the best, and you see both teams kind of understanding their win condition. 30K playing a lot more safe in this game right now than they have in pretty much any other point in the tournament so far. They understand that they need to play for the Shrine. They can't get picked, when on the other hand, you have BangBush just constantly scouting with Nagram ahead on the Anubarak, looking for anything. If he sees a single person in range, he's going to look for the Cocoon and set up for a potential one-shot.
God, I love when compositions come together like this, where they have such a weird tug-of-war that's happening. With that Shrine activating in 15 seconds, you see Cattle in prime position, trying to get information, scouting ahead, being in a position to help out his teammates. At the same time, Bruiser camps will be grabbed and darn near mirrored by both teams, as we'll see them pop up and try to control that top lane.
Yeah, I'm really curious to see how BangBush looks to play this fight. In the first objective, they took their advantage, they ran with it. This objective, they have a slight lead to getting to the Shrine, but the battlefield, sort of the home field advantage, should be 30K. So we'll see how this fight pans out. This is a risky one for BangBush. With no advantage, they're slightly ahead to 13, but there's no way that they're going to be able to get that during this Shrine phase.
Don't forget about the Sylvanas, though. Being able to drop down her abilities and kind of clear out this Shrine. It's 13-13. There's that Slowing Sand you were talking about. Ultralist gets locked in, but he can come around on the top side. Meanwhile, Nagrim goes in. They're trying to lock down a target here on the bottom, forcing out the damage. A beautiful ult comes out from Liam, and they're having this Blaze knocked around. Finally, a Bunker comes out. Can he walk away from the fight? It looks like he might be able to skedaddle. Yes, he does. On the top side, though, there's a full brawl going on.
Yeah, Liam making himself look like a juicy target, but on the other side of the fight, you have 30K just chipping away at both the objective and the enemies on the side of BangBush. Looks like they've taken a little bit too much damage. They are ahead on 13, so the defense should be okay for them, and their Knights do win the top siege. But we're going to see whether 30K is going to look to hold this objective, wait for getting 39 Shrine defenders, wait for it, clear out top, maybe get some macro advantage bottom. They do that. They're playing very slowly. They don't want to fight into the 13 talents on the side of BangBush. So they're going to wait, clear their lanes, and then look to push forward with it. But
my golly, when did NA learn how to macro? When did that happen?
It's beautiful.
It is beautiful. It makes me so happy. Nagrim goes in, gets a burrow charge, knocks up the Chromie on the back left. Liam comes in, and finally that Shrine comes in. Cattle taking some damage, but with an Ancestral Healing is able to kite away. Now the Punisher is here and can jump, so the rest of BangBush is going to have to retreat and get behind the wall. Let's see if they get this bait down. They should be able to do so pretty well. A Nubarak poised actually on the top side to potentially move in and grab this Chromie. He gets the burrow charge. There goes the timeout, and Madora's going to turn around and get some damage. But timeout being down is pretty massive. Same time, though, Maltfield's in trouble. He gets picked off as Cattle slams him on the ground.
That is scary for 30K because that felt like an advantage fight for BangBush. They have the numbers advantage. They see that Urel, Liam playing in the top side. They look for that, thinking it's a 5v4. They lose the 4v5 in that situation. They get the pick onto Malthael. 30K is probably not done yet. They've got the dive. They've got the Fire Breath onto Skook. He does go down. Cure just barely gets out. They still aren't done. Nagram might not be able to get out either.
Oh my gosh, this fort defense I thought would be enough, but they keep going in. Cure finally pops on the Odin. He's going to work on the fort. Cattle getting low on HP, but the healing isn't enough. Down to 60, and another heal comes in. This man's unkillable.
The Flames coming back, just barely keeping him alive in tandem with that spell shield. Liam also escapes. 30K playing a dangerous game, but coming out ahead of it, getting paid off for their risk that they took in that dive. Really just strong, good play from 30K coming out. Just very good discipline. Just getting a 4v5 pick, too.
Great fights from both. I mean, on the top side, we have a lot of pressure coming in from BangBush. They got that for him earlier. They keep getting that catapult pressure. They also have that bruiser camp that constantly keeps coming in. It's only a kill of 3-2 so far. These teams seem very evenly matched, and this is going to go the distance. I can just feel it.
Yeah, 14.5 to 14.5 for the most part. Things are very close. Again, we expect 30K to go into hiding. They're not on the shrine. This is where they're going to probably hide. It's kind of a risk of, is it worth using an ultimate to contest a camp? Is it worth to contest nearly anything? So I want to see how far BangBush can push that. Both teams have one fort, but there is an advantage in the next shrine in BangBush having that top fort, which is where the next objective is going to spawn. See if 30K sees that and feels a little bit more interested in taking a fight, knowing that there will be that big advantage in the tap coming up if they don't look for a fight now.
Yeah, just to echo your thoughts there with BangBush, I like how they keep putting pressure in different locations. It's not coming from the same area. You'll have them be underneath. You'll have them be on top. They'll have them come from the right. They are constantly trying to find a weakness in this armor that is set up for 30K. That's what you got to do with these compositions. When you know you have a CC comp, you got to find the angle. All it takes is one.
And Nagram always hungry, looking forward. It is a 4v5 again. So they see the Liam, they see the Ural in the top lane. They want to fight.
It's a fight for.
30K is aware of this. Last time this happened, they did lose their Malthael. 30K very aware of it. This is a big advantage still for 30K, though. They have the Odin now. They got the 16 with the top wave. Ural's going to bully Blaze in the rotation while they just siege bottom. We'll see if they can force and engage bottom because BangBush getting a little bit desperate here.
This is where Liam is just really, really strong of a player. He slowed down Blaze on the top side. He's also rotating down. This looks like it might be a 5v4. Now the Odin is up for a few more seconds before it expires. I believe it's up for 22 seconds in total. Unstoppable does come out from Malthael. He looks around at Urella as well. Another combo coming in from Cattle. He keeps slamming people against the wall and he walks away. He's trying to get heroics.
16 to 16 though now. 16s have come in for the side of BangBush. We're going to finally get an even 5v5 potentially here. BangBush looking, but so is 30K. They do know that they don't really want to fight that top shrine. They don't have an Odin though. We'll see if that's going to be enough for them to be able to win the fight here. You have the Cocoon onto Diablo, and they're going to look to fight past.
Ancestor Healing has been used, so if Diablo does get burned down here, it can be a kill. Ultras on that back line. Last Right comes out. It's going to be on Chromie. She gets picked off. Legacy as well, taking some damage. It looks like he might be able to retreat away. Meanwhile, Diablo full health in the back line, trying to slow down the opposing side. Henning takes a bit of a beating, but's going to get a blink kill, and suddenly Liam is baited into a fight, and he has to pop his bubble.
Really well played by Ultralisk and Nagram between the Anubarak and the Malthael. It wasn't really the expectation. Typically, you see a Malthael, you think they're going to be fighting the Diablo. No, your Malthael's diving your backline while the Diablo is in the Cocoon from Nagram. So just really clean team fighting, decisive for them to be able to just dive the backline and be confident that Malthael, Nagram can Cocoon the Diablo and that they can Malthael kill the backline against Chromie, who has tools. So just really good, especially from Malthael.
Chromie is up in about 2 seconds, but if you look to the top side of the map, 8-0 so far when it comes to the shrine control. And with a huge wave, I would say, pushing in the top lane, this looks like this could be grabbed by BangBush. Just a matter of time. Meanwhile, if you look over to 30K, they're playing defensively as they should. Grabbing all the camps here, trying to offload the maps here in the middle and the bottom side because they know that Punisher is coming.
Yeah, it's good to see in that last fight, too, that as soon as the Odin is used to siege, that's the go button, like the go signal for BangBush.
Sure.
They're now going to also get the top objective since they win that fight. This is huge for BangBush. This is potentially game-ending depending how the defense goes for the side of 30K. BangBush in a position that just gives them so much power. Their composition doesn't siege on its own like the other side does, having the Odin. They have no real siege tools outside of the Sylvanas. They need to fight past and dive. So having the Punisher alongside that really enables them to have an actual win condition in the game. Anubarak
is probably one of the best divers when it comes to get top on a 4. And in the past, Anubarak and Gray may be wonderful. Yeah, Sealed wonderful as well. Turn that off right away. Get on in there. All 5 are here for BangBush, and they are playing for keeps. Already burning down this turret, working on the wall. Odin popped as it should be. Another time trap coming out there. Great uses there from Madara. Punisher is going to be jumping and doing some damage, but it's down for at least another 10 seconds.
It's going to be a tough defense for the side of 30K. They've gotten half the objective whittled down. Half of the Punisher has been destroyed. The jump comes in. We'll see if there's any kind of follow-up. Nothing from BangBush, not yet. They're just going to be kind of fishing for some kind of pick. They get damage on the keep. We'll see if they're able to transition this into anything else. Maybe just keep them zoned away from their own camps. But the defense from 30K is good. They do use cooldowns for it, though. The Odin is down. That's their main siege tool, so you're not expecting them to really push back.
Yeah.
So we'll see if they're able to contest this camp, if they're going to look to play aggressively, or if teams are just going to trade for the next objective.
I've been watching this neutral game between Nubrag and the other members on the front line there, Liam in particular, and it's a constant dance back and forth. You want to try and bait that Nubrag to go in for a burrow charge, and if you can make them miss, that's the end of the push, right? If they're not able to land a burrow charge and go into an impale right away, that's happened a couple of times. So Nagram's really be doing his best here to mess up his timings and to adjust and to be more surprising, which has been a delight to watch.
Yeah, it's especially difficult into things like the Chromie, where one wrong move and you're suddenly zoned from your team, from the clocks, from the sand. It's a very, very scary hero to try to engage into, alongside things like the Tychus with Odin and the spell shield that he can get, the 75 spell armor.
Liam.
You have to be so decisive. Liam is sharking.
He's prepared. He goes in, finds Sylvanas, but she's able to get out the jump from Sylvanas. She is so hard to lock down.
Yeah, that was a clean Haunting Wave out from Skoog, already having it out, knowing that there's some potential for threat, taking no risks at all. But the XP advantage still in the favor of 30K. 1 fort each, a little bit of damage on the top keep, but this is nearly completely even. Most likely, there's going to be no moment for a level 20 v19 fight. We'll see if 30K can get the bot fort with their level 20 advantage, what they can do with it. They have half a level, see how pressured they feel to get an advantage.
Always thinking about it. Cattle drops down his Fire Stomp. A little bit too late there by a couple of seconds. Had the Shrine been up, they could have continued or maybe even moved in. That 20 right around the corner. I don't know about you, Justin, but I'm nervous, dude. I'm feeling it. My thigh is bouncing.
Yeah, this is tense. The next objective is going to be it could end the game potentially. You do have a slight advantage for 30K, having their taps available, having the fountain in mid. BangBush will know that, so they're going to feel even more pressured with their composition especially to look for some kind of pick off the Shrine. But they do have Blaze top because they did need to get level 20.
Okay.
So a little bit of breathing for a moment, but it'll be really intense soon.
20 is here. Any surprise for you on the heroics?
Nothing too surprising. Malthael going with the safe route. We saw him dive the backline last time. He can do it even more freely this time, knowing that if they trade, he can just teleport or, well, res himself and be right back in the fight.
Okay. Blaze picked up the fortified bunker here at level 20, and now it's a waiting game. Don't get caught out. Everyone playing around these shrines. Liam's already here. He doesn't need to soak. He knows the 20 is there. His waves are managed. This could be it. It really could.
They do have the Brightwing stealth at level 20, which is going to enable their comp a lot, being able to try to look for these picks, having the invisibility. It did get nerfed somewhat recently, so you don't have the permanent invisibility anymore. But Anubarak's going to be looking to use that on Nagram playing the Anubarak in conjunction with Henning Brightwing getting that stealth so that he can look for some kind of a pick. They kind of need the fear from the darkness sort of thing. They need to get that jump on 30K. If 30K is able to set up, they have just all the advantages in this fight.
Burrow charge in into an impale, straight on top of Diablo. Ultima steps up, drops down a wave, gets some damage on top of him. Shrine gets focused, 2-1 so far. Cattle trying to hold that left side with the slowing sands. Same time, Blaze having to drop his passive. They turn around and go for a full engage, and immediately the bubble comes out for Urel.
It's a risky target to go for. Liam having that Arn defender being able to defend himself. On the other side, a lot of poke damage being taken from BangBush. Nagram in particular on the Nubarak is going to run top and try to get a tap and get back into the fight. But you also see the Shrine going heavily in favor of 30K. BangBush might have to give this, and they're about to have to make a very, very difficult choice. Do they force an engage right here, right now in this short window, or do they give it and see if they're able to defend? It's a tough choice to make.
They go for the engage. Heroics are down on the top side. We see Malthael moving on in. He is on top of Chromie, trying to lock her down. The timeout pops up, but he's buying his time. Ultras keeps up the auto attacks. Goes in. There's the last rights. Will it be a kill? Yes, it is. Remember, he has nobody stops death, so he can get picked off here. Oh my gosh, a 4-man bunker. The lightning breath trying to lock him down. Ultra's healing up left and right. A burrow charge in, Justine.
Insane re-engage coming out from Nagram out of that bunker. The 4-man bunker set up by Swamp Grata actually wins them the fight. They get the 3 for 0.
But the Punisher
do have Diablo respawning, but with 2 people dead, they're going to feel kind of the pressure to go in here. They have a healer alive. They have Brightwing. We'll see if they're able to make this happen. It's 5v3. Not sure if they can do this.
Tychus cannot get picked off. He is hugging that keep. He knows for a fact that he cannot lock down. In 17 seconds, there will be an Odin. But the thing is, the opposing team knows that as well. Cocoon comes out. Liam trying to buy time. It is a slow auto attack. Finally, they will get him there. Ultima's trying to zone them out. The shields are falling. And it looks like BangBush is going for the win. They are doing everything they can. They're starting to fall down to 90, down to 80. Justin, are they going to do it?
The health bars are about even for everyone here on the side of BangBush. We're going to see if any kind of AoE damage can come out from Cure. He gets
40,
the big red button.
30, 20.
It drops.
It's getting low.
And they actually managed to pull it off.
BangBush is able to grab game number 1. An incredible team fight there. Amazing match here for game number 1. And I'm so excited this is the best of 5.
So back and forth. I was getting goosebumps on the core. That was ridiculous way to end the game. The confidence to be able to take that fight.
Yeah.
They had a difficult decision to make if they return and just try to defend it, or if they go all in that exact moment. It's such a small window. It's such a tough decision to make.
Yeah. I think
and they got paid off for it. Yeah.
Right. We've already seen the patience from 30K. They are willing to turn around and wait for that opportunity to get to a 39 on a shrine, finish it off later, and wait for that Odin, right? If you have Odin, level 20, pushing into a keep with a Punisher, that feels like it's GG, even if it is the center of the map. So I appreciate the finesse there to try and force a fight, get out a couple of big heroics, and come back after a tap and secure the win. The kills in that game, for the record, was only 6-4. It felt way more intense.
Yeah, it felt so intense. It was so cool to see the dynamics, too, between the teams, both teams understanding their win conditions. No obvious blunders from either team. Up and defending for 30K, playing for the Shrine, and hunting, sharking for those picks on the side of BangBush. Nagram in particular with the Anubarak, just insane, just phenomenal playing the Anubarak there. That's a very difficult composition to play Anubarak into the Diablo, into the Chromie. You have Ancestral to play around. You have Urel with Ardent Defender. There's so many non-targets. Tychus with the Spell Armor. Who do you engage on in that comp? But he made it happen.
Yeah, it was the Chromie, which was probably the least likely pick that you would choose, especially with having all our self-peels. You know, there's a Rhaegar there to help out. Just a brilliant game number 1, which it gets us all excited because we're going to be in a best-of-5 series, and these players are ready to play. Already, the map has been chosen. We are now accepting the invitation. It's going to be Garden of Terror. Everyone's hopping in the lobby right now. I think we should take a little breather, though, before we jump right in. Everyone take a deep breath, and let's make sure they're prepared for game number 2.
Yeah, that was intense. Looks like the players are quick to get back to it. They're ready.
That's always the best sign when you're like, all right, we
run it back.
We were crushing it, run it back. Like, we're ready for number. That means 30K is ready to go. At the same time, BangBush is like, hey, we're here as well to get this W. This is our final match of the night, by the way. Thank you all for joining us. We hope that you've enjoyed this entire tournament. You know, there's been a couple of bumps here and there, but we continue to push through, and we are getting set up for an epic weekend of Heroes of the Storm, which is a sentence that I have not said in years.
Yeah, it's been a while, huh?
It's been a minute, and honestly, I want to go home and boot up some HOTS. It's wild what competitive play can do for you.
Yeah, I got a taste of playing on stage, and it's just, you know how it is.
You're going to be chasing that high for weeks.
Yeah, it's such a great feeling to do that, too, for the players, and especially in a match like that we just saw. It's so, there's so much nerves and just emotion that goes into it that if you watch it and you see it, you might think in a late game situation like, oh, why'd they do that? As a spectator, you're thinking calmly, you're calm and cool. When you're on stage, it's very different. So, like the intensity of those last moments for those teams, it's just really cool to see which team can pull it out when there's so much pressure, when you're just so nervous in that moment. And running on adrenaline, love to see that. That's really my favorite thing about HOTS.
And this is a map, too, that maybe that adrenaline will have to be forced to slow down a little bit. This is a slow burn map. It takes some time for you to get in a situation where you can go from that win condition. And it's also a map that where if you make a major area, you feel that error throughout the entire rest of the map. If you're not on top of your Merc camp timings, if you're not on top of grabbing the seeds that you should earn, because there are seeds that are in certain parts of the map, if you're not able to get your poke and slow down your opponent and make a decisive decision when it comes to macro, which is pretty much like the main play for Europe, is they always want to be in a situation where, all right, we want to force you into a play, and then we react. Let's do it. Game number 2, Garden of Terror, North America taking on Europe.
I'm very excited, especially with the stylistic differences that we've seen in the last game, and both teams just playing to their win conditions so well. Both these teams are looking very, very scary, and both of them are worthy of a spot. I mean, only one will really, truly be worthy of a spot in the winners bracket, but it's so close. This could be our series that isn't a sweep. I'm feeling that this is going to be a real back-to-back trading wins.
I'm wondering, can I bring up this fellow over here in the American clothes here in the tank top and just give him a chance here to cheer up there? Mr. America, can someone tap him on the shoulder right there? This guy right here in the middle of the audience right here. Can we get him? Yeah, right here with the flag. I want him to come onto the broadcast and just give me one sentence. He's been just riving all day. Hey, come here. Come on up. He stood up proudly. We do have a
We need
Maiev,
this.
Hogger, and Lucy Band. I want you to come stand right here and give me one sentence. Just yell it straight into the mic. Get close about what you feel about today's matchup.
I love my country.
Go ahead.
I love my country.
There he is. All right. Thank you so much for your time and your due diligence, sir. Appreciate that so much. So, I just want to remind real quick that fella that Europe is up 1-0. He's been here all day, him and a group of friends. So, that's what it's all about, though, right?
Yeah.
Like enjoying your time. You know, when it all comes down to it, we all just love these games. Now, Maiev, Brightwing taken out. We also have Lucio and Hogger. Garden of Terror. Diablo and Sylvanas picked up. Blaze picked up as well. Very similar to what we saw in the last game.
Yep, the Brightwing will not be available this time for the side of BangBush, so they'll have to pick a different support. They did get a lot of value having Henning play it in the last game.
Yeah.
The Blaze will still be there. We did see that insane 4-man bunker at the end. It's in that situation too, it's not just the Blaze, it's also the way your team plays around the bunker, and
Sure.
being able to get everyone to click it in that moment and save all of themselves, turn it with the damage coming out, just really impressive. And we have Johanna Rhaegar, just really very solid picks coming out.
Yeah.
You have the insane level 20 spike with the Rhaegar, with the double Ancestral. You have Johanna, the invincible tank. So just really good setup right now, very flexible setup for BangBush.
I mean, a lot of wave clear and buying time, right? Which is what you always want to pay for in spades, especially if you think you're on the same level as your opponent. You want to wait for them to make a mistake. I mean, that's what all MOBAs are about, is trying to play as perfectly as you can and try to get through the mistakes that you make, right? And Johanna's one of those characters that just excels at it. Hey, I made a mistake, or at least I can force my opponent into a mistake by just stepping up and dropping my passive. Now, Sergeant Hammer gets banned out. She has been a mainstay on pretty large maps in general, just being able to siege down those towers and being an obnoxious pain. And also Diablo, if he can't get that engaged that he wants, we saw it earlier with Medivh Diablo, it feels really hard to make that work.
Yeah, Hammer needs to be banned, in my opinion, just in general. She seems so oppressive to play against. Nothing else really compares to me when you're just constantly getting traded against. So that's a smart ban coming out from 30K. Leoric on the other side does win the matchup very heavily into Blaze, as well as Johanna. Johanna with the Falling Sword is nearly impossible to engage on if she does go that route.
Sure.
But Entomb is one of the few tools that you can use to force engages against a Falling Sword Johanna. So a smart ban, and it also counters the Blaze. So just really good drafting coming out. The expectation is to see the support in the off lane so that Cure can get his last pick as the flex.
Hey, some Anduin here. I mean, they automatically identify there's a lot of CC on the opposing side. Anduin, one of these healers that I feel like is good in general, but what you pick him up is for his passive, being able to save your opponent if they overstep too far. Is there something here in particular that may have triggered this Anduin pick?
So I don't think it's necessarily an individual thing outside of maybe the Bless Shield. I think it's mostly just a comfort thing and not really knowing what's coming next. It's sort of a catch-all having that pull on Anduin to be able to save from pretty much anything.
Sure.
It doesn't really save for the Malphite ultimate. That's one thing that will follow you if you get pulled with a Malphite ultimate. That's not going to help you unless you have the invulnerability ultimate
Death
level
always
10.
follows, Justin. That's just how life is. It's a life lesson that everyone can learn. Death is coming.
Life
Can't stop
lessons
it.
with Trick coming out here. I didn't expect to be so enlightened on the
Yeah,
on the
I'm
death,
getting
but
old, man. I see that death hill. It's coming really, really soon. I just hope that I remembered, you know? That's all that matters. Mephisto coming in for the 5th pick. We've seen this banned out a couple of times. We've seen one play, I believe, this entire tournament. What do you think about Mephisto?
Mephisto's just an all-around good thing into a lot of melees, which they do have. They have the 4 melee composition on the side of BangBush, so it's a good pick into heavy melee compositions. They do have that, so it's strong. It's also good against just bunker in general. If everyone's coming out or grouping up for the bunker, they're all going to get hit with a Mephisto splash. It does lack in the macro, and they also have Diablo, who's going to contribute almost no macro as well for 30K.
Sure.
So I could definitely see a situation where 30K just gets ran around the map by the side of BangBush. They have Johanna with some wave clear on a tank. Everyone on the side of BangBush has a ton of wave clear, whereas 30K is really relying on Sylvanas and to some extent the Haka with the global to carry all of the wave clear for the team.
I really like BangBush's composition on this map. There's so much poke. You slow down the seeds. You get yourself in a situation where you don't really have to force the aggression, and the moment they make a mistake, you move in. Regardless, it is time for game number 2 in this best-of-5 series. 30K taking on BangBush. Let's go straight to Garden of Terror.
And in the blue, we have Cure playing the Sylvanas. Cattle will be playing Diablo. Mephisto played by Madara. Anduin played by Legacy. And Dahaka played by Liam.
To the far right, representing EU and up 1-0 over 30K, the number 2 seed out of Europe, playing Rhaegar. Nagram on Johanna. Vampe on Blaze, Skog on Hanzo, and Odorless will be playing Malfield. Can they run it back and secure 2-0, or will 30K, who I felt like was doing a great job down in the map, and gain number 1, tie up the series?
I'm a little bit worried as a NA resident for 30K. After seeing game 1, the composition that was much more difficult to play was BangBush's, and they played it extremely well. And being able to get that type of execution is just a scary thing, especially now that they have the tools to just run them around the map. With all these macro tools for the side of BangBush, we'll see if 30K is able to actually get in not too much of a deficit in the early game even, just with the macro, because BangBush has the tools to just macro and clear all the waves and kind of force them into bad fights.
Yeah, I mean, Johannes walks over a wave, it's pretty much deleted. You have an explosive arrow to follow that up. Malfield has pretty good wave clear as well. You don't want to do it too much, but if you're able to get those auto attacks, that cleaving just gets through it really, really fast. I agree completely with you. And it looks like they're trying to pick on Liam in particular. Another massive gank here at the stop, and Liam was ready. He immediately put the Dark Swarm, retreated away, even tried to go for a tongue to pull someone underneath the tower.
Yeah, that's just the MOBA 101 kind of tactics. You counter the global by going to where the global is.
Yeah.
You can't get outnumbered and ganked if you're the one ganking the global. So you like to see that, especially when it's one of two wave clear tools for the side of 30K. They do kind of just group up here. You see this death ball forming. They have the Sylvanas and the Mephisto. So they have Sylvanas to push with it, but they also have the Mephisto, which if you match them with the same number that they have, they're going to win that most likely in a 4v4, because you're all going to be there, and Mephisto loves that, playing against as many heroes as possible.
Gosh, man, I'm just such a fan of Liam. I'll just say it straight up, dude. That guy is so smart. He just went up to the top right corner of the bush, pushed into the night camp, and they were trying to wait to have a proper timing, and he's like, you know what? I'm here. Are you going to take it? And he forced Malfield to take it right away, which makes sure they don't get the proper timing they want and gives Sylvanas the pressure they want on the bottom side of the map. Now, with that being said, pressure coming in from BangBush is pretty darn stellar in itself. Already working on these towers. They've answered back what was coming in from 30K, and they're looking for more here. They're really wanting to try and get a fight and slow this down.
Yeah, a little bit too impatient potentially from Cattle there, going for the engage before the Madara Mephisto was in range. There's really no follow-up there, so Skoog sort of just shakes it off and is totally fine with that. You're seeing already the wave clear flaw in 30K composition, though, is if they aren't all together, they don't have any kind of kill threat, and they aren't really allowed to be all together as long as BangBush keeps pushing these waves in, which they're doing. They got a whole camp here in bottom that Blaze is going to be protecting, and it's just a struggle for 30K in this early game. They're going to have to really show up in the team fights to make up for that.
And constantly, back-to-back, another two-man gank on Dahaka here. You just want to make sure he can't double soak. Just slow that guy down. If Dahaka's only on one lane, he's losing on value. So I really like that you keep pointing that out. It's actually a really impressive play from BangBush, and it looks like they found maybe a bit of a weakness in this draft, or maybe even the team comp of their opponents. Now, we do have another Condemn coming in here in the middle. The Seed is in a proper position for 30K to grab it, but look at that experience, man. So even at the moment. And this is kind of a byproduct of Garden of Terror, where you're going to have a lot of teams really play and scale for that late game.
Well, a bit of a miscommunication there, too, between Cattle and Liam, something that you don't see too often. The tongue completely going wide, maybe not expecting the immediate flip from Diablo. Potentially some nerves coming in for the side of 30K after the way that the last game went. Felt like they should be in control of it, and maybe you feel a little bit of a void, feeling like you had the better draft, had the easier time to win, and losing the game that might have some kind of long-lasting implications going to the rest of the series.
And if you're BangBush, man, you snip that out and you keep going. You prey on that insecurity, if you will, or that moment of hesitation. Hesitation kills in this game. Speaking of hesitation, Cure 30, oh my gosh, able to sidestep on Swamp here, which was pretty darn impressive. I think if that jet propulsion hit, he may have been at a point where he may have been picked off.
Yeah, that looked like it might have been a dead Cure had that gone a little bit more to the right there. So nice dodge by Cure, nice sort of mind games using the E. It was a bit of a weird play by Cure. And again, just maybe 30K feeling a little bit off in this game so far. Like, they're not behind too much. They're losing a little bit, but it just feels a little bit disjointed now in a couple of these small fights that we've seen from them.
Cattle coming in with another flank, forces out the trait from Johanna. She'll go for her cleanse, but they're in a position where if we see anything from 30K, they'll step over and grab that seed. Experience continues to trickle in, and we'll have our camps up once again. Now the seed is up and available. Last time we were on this map, 30K said, we'll wait until you give it to us. We have no concern of forcing the seed. We're okay with going toward level 10, slowing down the macro of the game, and that seems to be the case here. We don't see anyone trying to force it.
Yeah, it looks like 30K is very confident in their late game team fighting, which does make sense when you have Mephisto into 4 melees.
Sure.
That's probably the main driving factor for this, because they can kind of defend this forever. It's almost like on Altric when you have the Chromie just stalling your objective forever. It's similar to that, where if you feel you have the better scaling, you can just ignore it. Liam taking quite a bit of damage, though, actually.
Oh!
The Sponge might not be able to absorb quite that much. He does get out.
How does he survive that?
It's the legend.
The essence. It's just too much. Ultras comes down, sees that there is a rotation happening here. Now, the good news about Dahaka being low is they can keep the pressure up there, and now he has a harder time stepping up and defending. His essence being low is always a spot that Dahaka doesn't want to be in. He wants to adapt, right? He wants to be in a situation where he can control the flow of moving up to that level 10. So he now has to rebuild that up. You even see him play someone playing safe on the minimap behind the minion wave, rebuilding that essence.
Yeah, and both teams looking to kind of trade the map right now. The top side of the map being primarily controlled by BangBush, as that's where their camps are, and the bottom side being traded out for the side of 30K. But BangBush also getting the Siege Giants here to be able to push in and counter whatever bot push inevitably comes out from 30K. So a slight advantage, again, just forcing through top, forcing to where the global is in Liam on that Dahaka. A very slow back and forth game, but a very methodical game coming out here, whittling away at the defenses of 30K, who's just protecting the seed that refuses to capture the objective on their side of the map.
Hanzo down here.
He's had enough.
Oh, look at the top lane. Actually, a massive fight happening here as 30K is looking to defend this massive push that's on the way, and Liam is just like, hey guys, I actually might need a little bit of help. I've had 3 people in my lane this entire time, but that opened up the seed in the bottom right, as you were alluding to earlier. The first seed will be going over to the BangBush as they are just trying to keep this macro deficit that is set up by 30K completely in check.
Yeah, Storm forcing that, being able to get the objective, putting them in a situation where they're going to either lose a lot of siege top or they're going to lose the objective, and they do manage to pick up that objective. Kir being just kind of stuck on this side of the map, being kind of told to clear the whole half of the map by himself on the Sylvanas. We're seeing the draft flaw in the lack of wave clear come in, so we're going to have to watch Madara specifically on the Mephisto for the team fight victories that this comp is supposed to bring.
Yeah. Okay, second seed spawning in 8 seconds. Cams being grabbed, trying to answer back. This could actually be a nice little window for Sylvanas to move down on the bottom right and try to grab that fort. Once again, Dahaka being forced into a fight. Ultra's trying to chase him down, trying to keep him low. There's an arrow, and finally, Liam is going to get picked off after about 45 attempts to take his life. Same time, Blaze is going to get engaged on, but he says, you know what? I'm full. I'm healthy. I got mana. I got a passive.
Still looking.
Gets away.
Oh. Cattle stuffs his head onto the bunker, but the bunker is used, and it will be just a trade of cooldowns there. The bunker's used. We'll see if Cattle's going to actually look to keep going here. You have the flip. This is very aggressive by Cattle. Ultralisk in the backline, almost killing Kir by himself. We do have the ultimate come out, the invincibility coming out from the Anduin to kind of adapt to that Malthael, but they're not done yet. They're still chasing. Ultralisk, very low on mana, but does have enough. They do take out Cattle. Cattle, that's 100 souls lost on the Diablo. That's a huge deal.
Yeah, he becomes a not-so-meaty boy anymore, that's for sure. He is skin and bones, as Diablo is very easy to pick off when he is low on those souls. 2 kills and a level 13 for BangBush as they are really controlling this map. And with a 4 being picked up in the top left corner, suddenly Dahaka's job has gotten that much harder.
Yeah, where is Madara in all this? That's kind of what I'm wondering is their whole composition's deficit is coming from that pick having very little to almost no wave clear as a counter pick to this 4-man melee composition from BangBush. We need to see Madara getting involved in fights. We can't see him being split soaking waves ever if 30K wants a chance at winning this game. BangBush is punishing on pretty much every front. They're constantly pushing 30K in with the waves. 30K is going to have to change things up if they want to have a chance in this game because they're just slowly getting chipped away at by the side of BangBush.
Now, do you think this Durance that is picked up by Mephisto, now that we're actually speaking about him, do you think this is a situation where it's like, okay, you naturally group up because you try to jump into the bunker. Maybe I could punish that afterwards and get a big, massive AoE hit.
Yeah, it's especially strong just into the bunker, into the melees. Even at level 20, you have the Ancestral where people want to group up for it. Cattle looking aggressive, trying to get onto Swamp Grotto as Liam's into the backline. Not sure if they're going to be able to get the engage. They do get a really good tongue, though, onto the Rhaegar.
Rhaegar drops the healing, saves himself. Bunker comes out. Sylvanas gets absolutely deleted. 5 here as Legacy is trying to retreat. A Condemn comes in. Diablo standing his ground and just breathing fire on everyone. Medora low on HP, and he gets deleted as well. Cattle trying to retreat, but remember, that's a weak Diablo there. Rhaegar comes in for the butt bite. He wants another here. Cattle just running straight to the fort, trying to buy time, stopping any push that could happen. But all he's going to do is succeed in giving a staggered death as 4 go down.
And it's the plant seed. They were already on 2 seeds. This is devastating for 30K. They're going to be down so far. They're going to have the 16s coming in for BangBush, half a level until level 16. They have the objectives spawning. The plant mothers are coming. You've got half a mid fort. You don't have a lot for 30K right now. BangBush is just absolutely dominating after that fight. That 4-for-0 fight just... This is such an insurmountable advantage all of a sudden, just out of nowhere for BangBush.
16-14, a massive lead. This fort is currently opened up. It will be taken out there as we have the bowl popping up. You see over at 30K is positioning around the middle of the map here. This is where they're going to kind of put their last stand for defense. At the same time, Kira trying to be in a position where he can help clear out that bottom wave because of that beautiful wave clear that comes from Sylvanas.
Yeah, it's a lot. It's a tall task for that Sylvanas. He's nearly alone here in the wave clear. Madara is going to look to get just damage against the most members possible, so trying his best mid to slow this down. The expectation is to get 1 keep here at least for the side of BangBush. So if 30K leaves this with 2 keeps intact, they're going to be happy. You have an attempt from Madara. We see the Durance, but it does go wide. Ultralisk stepping forward, and Madara now potentially getting punished for it. The ultimate's not even allowed to come out from the Anduin, and another CC against him. Anduin potentially getting chased down just by the Johanna, and Cattle goes down.
BangBush just finding their kill. Same time though, Sylvanas gets an arrow off. Kira in the back right trying to find his own kills as well. It's going to be a 3-for-1 trade. Skye is still alive and steps up with an arrow ready to use it as they finally start putting some damage on top of this keep. And meanwhile, on the bottom lane, there's still Giants in there. Yeah, he's
got 200 HP. He's chilling.
He don't care, dude. He's like, whatever. What's HP? That is way more than I need. He gets that keep as it finally will fall with the Giants and with a Mephisto spawning in about 5 seconds. You got to wonder, is BangBush to get a second keep? Yes, they are. They rotate over. They start burning it down. 2 keeps taken away, and look at this lead. 18-15, 16, not even here yet for 30K.
Yeah, Ultralisk making the Malthael seem just too powerful going up into 30K. They don't seem to have any real good response for it. Ultralisk just living in the enemy backline. They had the Anduin with the invulnerability, thinking that might be a counter to the last rights. It absolutely has not been. The invulnerability from Anduin is a channeled ability with his ultimate, and Skoog with the Hanzo has been interrupting it. In the last fight, we had Johanna interrupting it with the Condemned. They're very, very aware of that from BangBush, that is the only thing that negates their whole combo. They can pretty much kill anyone outside of that, and BangBush is just playing phenomenally right now.
Yeah, that they are. Giants, Night Camp being grabbed, 20 Lumen. At this point, if you're BangBush, going to try and play a little bit on the passive side unless you can surprise the Dahaka once again. Build towards that level 20. Now, the good news for 30K, if they're trying to tie up this series, it's going to take some time to build those seeds once again. And you're in a position where you do have a global, so you can try and hold your bases here and get towards there. But it is going to be an uphill battle, make no mistake.
Yeah, right now BangBush is making 30K look like they're playing against a team with a sub. Not that I would know what being on the receiving end of that feels like, but it's kind of reminiscent of that right now. So a little bit worried for the side of 30K. The 20s are going to be coming in here in about half a level. BangBush likely going to just set up the map so that they can force something with the 2 lanes pushing in through mid and bottom. On the bright side for 30K, they do have some hope in time. There's only 1 objective here that will be picked up. They need 3 to actually have an effective plant push.
Yeah.
So they have some time possibly. Contesting this is brave for 30K though. Not sure if they're allowed to be here. I'm pretty sure BangBush is about to punish them to the fullest extent.
Immediately the Leap of Fate comes out. Also Dahaka trying to burrow away. Cooldowns are being used just to escape, but can they get away? Nagram says no. He runs right on in. Cattle goes for the back line, trying to get on top of Rhaegar, which would be a great pickup. But look at this. The members in the back line are just falling one by one by one. 3 picked off. A 4th as well. Diablo's back, but he's a small kitten. He's so low on HP. Kira trying to retreat as well. The Hanzo arrow comes out, and Diablo is left to stand in a 1v5. I don't think he can handle it, Justin.
No, Cattle's definitely not making it out of this one alive as BangBush turns it on, just forces the fight, forces the engage. 30K caught far too far from home. Down to level 20, down 3 levels here. Almost less than 14 minutes on Garden. We were talking about this being a grind, this being a long map where you're slowly chopping away at the opponents. It felt like BangBush did that for the first 5 minutes, maybe 6 minutes. And then it was just an avalanche on this map.
BangBush has found a weakness here for 30K. Now, can 30K clean it up? And that's what we're going to have to wonder as we are going to head into break. Right now, 30K has time to think about it. Wow, we got picked up on the top lane. What do we even do?
Yeah, and I mean, from Liam's perspective especially, he was just getting bullied through all of the early game. He must be thinking kind of, if there's 2 or 3 people in my lane over and over and over again, like, what's
going on
happening?
map,
yeah,
right?
what's happening? And Some of it is a draft error, potentially, having a potential blunder, valuing that team fight a little bit too much, maybe with the Mephisto lacking the wave clear, but
Sure.
BangBush taking the smallest draft advantage and just absolutely running with it in a sub-14-minute Garden of Terror game.
Impressive. That's something that's pretty much unheard of nowadays, with Garden of Terror being such a long map, usually for a lot of our teams. All right, guys, we are in a position where BangBush is up 2-0 over 30K. All they have to do is get one more win, and they'll be in a position to move forward in the bracket, and we'll see 30K move down to the lower bracket. Let's see if they can turn it around after a quick commercial break. Welcome to an absolutely exciting series, a best of 5 between our #1 seed in North America, 30K, and our #2 seed, BangBush, who is currently up 2-0 over the Americans, which some would say is expected, but I would say the matches have been a lot closer than I thought they would be.
And some NA would say that this is where the reverse sweep begins.
This is where it begins. This is a hope. This is a copium. Everyone get it ready. We're doing it. Everyone's believing in America and their comeback. And personally, as a fan of tournaments in general, I would love to see a EU, North America, Korea representative as we head into the final day on Sunday. So you know what? I'm pulling for wins too, or even just an exciting best of 5 series. All right, guys, our next map is going to be Cursed Hollow. Let's go ahead and hop on into it. We're starting off with a beautiful Maev ban.
Again, Cure, who played Maev earlier, is the one who's banning it, so just a lot of threat coming out from Ultralisk. I'm expecting to see a Malthael banned pretty early here because the Malthael from Ultralisk has just been dominating.
Devastating.
Yeah, the Diablo banned instead, so maybe Cattle looking to take the Johanna, maybe not be so vulnerable into a potential Malthael.
Malthael's been a 4th and 5th pick, and I think that's going to be the case no matter what. You don't just pick Malthael as 1st or 2nd pick, so I actually still think that's a valid strategy that you bring up for a potential 3rd ban. It seems like the foundations for these teams is pretty set in stone. On the right side, BangBush wants to get their Blaze. On the left side, you want to have usually a good tank, which they've actually banned out their Diablo, which means they want to adjust. They might just grab Johanna here.
Yeah, Joe is kind of the expectation. Johanna and Diablo have been sort of in a tier of their own with those two heroes as the tank. And then on the other side, BangBush has banned the Lucio and the Brightwing. So creating a support choke where you either give up a priority support or take the Johanna. So the expectation now is that the Johanna's picked up on this side. As they did give away the Rhaegar, they opted for the Rhaegar, feeling that the support choke is more dangerous than the Diablo-Johanna dynamic.
Is this a Blaze Johanna? Do you just lock it in? That has been the main focus on holding that front line.
Unless you're even more scared of more support bans down the line,
Yeah.
which they're not, and they don't even want the Johanna, so maybe they have something planned.
Blaze and Sylvanas comes in. She has been in pretty much every game of today, really showcasing that strength. Now, what is the adjustment for 30K? Because they're on the back foot here. They obviously saw a weakness that occurred in that last matchup, and it's on them to switch up momentum here in the series.
Yeah, you'd expect them to ban the Malthael in the 2nd rotation here. They're not going to likely pick it for themselves into something like Blaze with the bunker.
Yeah.
So that's kind of should be, I would think, a given to just ban the Malthael at this point, but maybe without having the Diablo, they're not as afraid of it. Johanna making it very far in the draft, and now I think the priority kind of becomes the Johanna and the Muradin. That seems to be like the new dynamic of the top tanks that we've seen so far throughout the tournament. So the Johanna's banned away. We'll see if 30K is comfortable digging deep into their tank pool. On this map in particular, Stitches is something that comes out to me as an obvious kind of pocket pick, especially for Cattle. He's been someone who's played quite a bit.
He's good at Stitches, yeah.
Oh, he's very good at Stitches, and that's one of his kind of signature heroes, and Cursed Hollow is one of the best places to play it, especially at LAN. For some reason, it feels like Stitches at LAN just sneaks up as the LAN continues, as people realize that the late game picks just get so important.
Yeah, a massive surprise for sure. And this also is Cursed Hollow, so a character like Tyrael is also on the board for a pickup as you want to control those bosses. This was something that we actually saw from a lot of North American players back in the day when they would play Cursed Hollow and Warhead Junction when we had a little experiment phase where you would just grab a boss and just push and win the game, right? So things like that can definitely pop up here for us. Now, going over to BangBush, it's going to be a Malfurion, which is going to get them a little bit more CC, a little bit more control, making things a little bit more difficult for them, and the Tyrael actually comes out for them.
Yeah, you called it. Tyrael, another one of those heroes that it feels like in regular online play, you don't see him that much, and then when it comes to LAN time, the value of the sanctification, with the coordination, everyone just being inside that invulnerability field is just so valuable. And the Malfurion is a deep pick here with the 3 supports picked and banned already.
Yeah.
If you're NA or EU, but a Korean team, it seems, would be fine with this. They seem to prioritize the Malfurion, so maybe taking a bit of a page of the Korean playbook for the EU team here.
Murden, as we were talking about earlier, into a Cassia. So a lot of damage here. A lot of clumping up and grouping, which is something that Cassia kind of excels in. But also that Valkyrie is a great thing that if you can get that timing down of a bunker about to be deleted, if your team burns it up, you can pull someone into you afterwards, which can always be a wonderful trait, especially even around the boss where you want to control. What I'm curious about is Ultralisk. Usually in like old metas, a Zeratul would be pretty good here. You get that BP, but it's going to be a Sergeant Hammer coming out as she slips through the draft.
Yeah, the other tank, the forbidden tank that has not been allowed to be played here for Ultralisk.
Yeah.
They don't opt for the Malthael because the comp's not very good into, or Malthael's not very strong into the double range between the Hanzo and the Cassia. So 30K kind of trying to force that, but maybe forgetting about the Sergeant Hammer that up until now, I believe 30K has banned Hammer in all of their games that they've played. So they're not going to be very experienced in playing against it. Sergeant Hammer is extremely powerful, and it's a very difficult thing to play against. I would rather play against any hero besides Hammer.
Now, with that being said, Ultras has to play very, very well here as well, because Valkyrie that we did talk about could be a thing that pulls in Sergeant Hammer. She uses her Unstoppable too quick. You also have the Dragon's Arrow. You could force a lot of issues on the Sergeant Hammer, but she is very, very, very strong. We've seen it time and time again. Let's go ahead and move into game number 3 in this Best of 5 series. It's going to be Cursed Khaldor, 30K, taking on BangBush. BangBush up 2-0. Can 30K do it? I'm going to go ahead and let you introduce him here. Go ahead, Justin.
All right, on the side of 30K, we have Madara playing the Cassia, Cattle playing the Muradin, Hogger will be played by Liam, Hanzo played by Madara, Rhaegar will be played by Legacy.
On the far right, hoping to close us out with a 3-0 and send us all home for the evening so we can prepare for tomorrow. It is BangBush heading on Malfurion, Ultras on Sergeant Hammer, Nagram on Tyrael, Sky on Sylvanas, and Swamp Bronte on Blaze.
4, 3.
This is where the reverse sweep happens if you're an NA fan. Are you ready, Trick?
I'm down for anything. I'm not going to pledge allegiance to anyone. I may slightly be cheering for Europe, but I will say that I am proud of America. I think I actually just chose allegiance, but I'm here for anything. Justin, I'm down.
I'm ready for some good games. So if we get a reverse sweep, I'd be happy with that. If we get one more game, I'd be a little bit sad, but I'd still be happy as long as it's a good game.
That's a good point. Always want to move into those. All right, so here we go. On the bottom side, Ultra sieges up immediately. Going to start burning down those towers. Meanwhile, in the middle lane, that slippery Tyrael is currently dealing with a Muradin and Medora on Hanzo. Stormbolt comes out at the same time as well. Legacy all by himself on the Rhaegar, eating some damage. Ooh, the Wolfron can get out of there.
A lot of damage here coming out between the Blaze and the Sylvanas. Rhaegar not really fit to deal with that, and alongside the Hanzo, that still might not be the best, most winning 2v2 for you. You are now having a healer that could be helping other people anywhere on the map, forced to stay here if these two heroes stay together, but immediately see the Sylvanas rotate out for BangBush. Both teams starting their night camps around the exact 1 minute mark.
Yeah, this is why Liam's out there on the top lane of Rhaegar's instead, because Hogger can clear out those camps really well if he can find those angles. Gog doing the same here on the right with the Black Arrow, clearing it out pretty darn quickly, while meanwhile Ultras continues to siege away, and here, poor Kier right now. I know he has some armor, but that range disadvantage is a pain. The good news is, though, look at his level 1 as we pull this up. He's actually stacking up his Q build here as we going for that Thunderstroke, trying to get a total of 15 so he can get extra damage every time he hits a hero.
He will have the Q damage that's going to ramp up as the game progresses, but we'll see if that's enough to chip away at the Sergeant Hammer. Sergeant Hammer lately has been taking the lifesteal at level 4 so that she just becomes a split-pushing monster. Pretty much no hero in the game can match her in a straight 1v1 if she goes for the build that's designed to split push. So Cure, I believe the drafter for 30K, has been banning it in every single game. We'll see if he's able to beat the Hammer now that he's left it open. We'll see if that's something that actually ends up coming back to bite him.
4 comes in first. 14 BangBush, but right behind him is 30K as they get their giant push in the top lane. It looks like Hogger is done hunting camps now, with no camps to hunt. He might as well go to the top lane. He'll hold it down himself. But meanwhile, this mid lane is looking pretty deadly. A massive amount of minions, and with a Sylvanas there to help out, Cattle gets locked down, able to jump out, thanks to a heal at the last second from Legacy.
Very close there coming out with the Cattle on the Muradin nearly going down. He does manage to escape, and if you're Muradin in this situation, you're very happy with that. In general, the Tyrael is going to be just passively getting value by shielding the minions and speeding up your teammates. So being able to absorb a lot of damage as the Muradin is going to get you more value in just the time you've bought than anything that you could really get in the early game outside of a whole kill. So good on Cattle to be able to absorb some pressure that would otherwise just go straight into his wall.
Very, very worth it if you are able to walk away without getting picked off. So huge there. Giants will be grabbing the right, and this was saved by BangBush as they knew the tribute was going to be on the top side here. You always want to have to push in the bottom lane. And what's great about this, if you have the option to leave Sergeant Hammer down there, maybe peel Sylvanas in as well and start working on those towers and forts and force your opponents to make a mistake.
And if you thought that the tank alone in the bot lane, if your Cure was a problem, now the tank has an entire army behind it. It's got the Siege Giants that are going to be also in the bot lane. I'm not sure if they can leave just Cure on the Cassia to deal with this. This might be a little bit too much. We'll see if he can clear this. Ultralisk is definitely having a fun game so far on the Sergeant Hammer. Just parking in bot.
The right click on his mouse button right now, just getting duller and duller by the moment as he continues to bring that ring finger down over and over. Ring finger, pinky, index finger, whatever finger he uses. I'm sure he uses one.
I'm sure he plays with his fingers.
I hope so.
Well,
if we look over,
he's playing Sergeant Hammer.
He's playing with his feet. He's got like a little foot pedal set up. That wouldn't be one. Cure finally is able to clear this up. With Murden coming in, Ultras has to respect that. He disappeared from the map. But not too much damage done, but a tribute grab for BangBush as they start to break this tower at the top with Sylvanas.
Yeah, and not a great response here coming out against the 3-man death push. They have the Sylvanas and the double tank pushing in. Soon they'll be joined by Henning on the Malfurion. This is not a defense that you can really make with a Hanzo and a Rhaegar right now. You're going to need to bring a lot of members. We do see Cattle collapsing in. This is going to be the pick that they need to get to try to get something back in the game. Swamp Grata caught out. The jet propulsion is blocked by Cattle, but will he be able to get out? Rhaegar on the flank from Legacy. The dog bite in does finish the kill alongside Liam on the Hogger.
Great block there as well. Hitting his best there to try and heal him. He dropped off a big Mephisto route to lock them off, but it just wasn't enough. Liam able to find the kill, and that will be the first tribute going over to 30K. So they find their own blood as well and get themselves in the match. Oh, hang on. They actually didn't grab it. Estrio came in for a delay. Scott comes down, gets damage on top of Kira, and they're going to start working on the tower.
Kira's like, please, please, I've had enough.
Someone help.
Sylvanas shows up. The 1v1 that was already unwinnable for Kira becomes a 2v1 as Ultralisk and Skoo are just going to push through the bottom lane. You see the response coming now from the Hanzo and the Rhaegar, but Cattle a little bit too far behind to actually be able to get a pick here. Once again, BangBush just taking value. Now they're doing it with the Hammer, but it is 1-to-1 in objectives. So we'll see if the Hammer can get enough split push.
Such a funny mental image, just having Cassia, this Amazon warrior, complete badass, just like, please, someone help me. And then the other side, Ultras is playing Hammer, and Hammer's like, oh yeah, just keep up with the auto attack. A quick boss coming in, though, and this is something that Hanzo excels at, in particular if he's going for the W build. And he gets that build with all 3 of the picks at 1, 4, and 7. So immediately they burn down that boss, and it's really hard to contest that.
And so in the first time in this game, now we have 30K getting something that is a really big, potential, meaningful advantage. They've got a response to the Sergeant Hammer here. We'll see if Sergeant Hammer is strong enough to take down a boss. It couldn't take down Cure on its own, but it was getting a lot of value. Now Hammer's going to be left alone to deal with that. Whereas on the other side, they do raw push the fort manually with the Sylvanas, but they don't have a boss to push with, so we'll see 30K is now kind of in a power position where they get to sort of dictate where both their team and BangBush will be in the next 30 seconds.
I sort of like the position where BangBush is. I know they're set up behind on experience 10-9, but they're going to be down here by this next tribute already with most of their units. Murden's a little bit late to rotation, is going to show in the mid lane as well, so they can focus all their efforts on killing the boss and be primed for this fight.
Yeah, in the end, BangBush actually comes out with the structural advantage. They're only half their fort missing in bot. Yeah. Hammer's going to probably continue to do what Hammer does best and run it down bottom. And they have the positioning now on the objective. We'll see if 30K looks to overcommit here for the fight or not. Their Blaze is very far away, so they do have a 5v4. They get the jump over the wall into the Valkyrie. Stoke manages to escape. I think that was the Henning cleanse coming out.
Yeah, I thought it missed, but he was able to get out of there. Sergeant Hammer taking some damage, though. Drops down the Unstoppable over the wall. Malfurion trying to stay alive. Drops down his Tranquility, and 30K is able to find a kill.
Henning a little bit isolated from his team there. Playing around this wall is really difficult if you are BangBush. You have a lot of angles where you can get split up, whereas 30K all coming from one side creates just a lot of difficulty in fighting here, especially with a Sergeant Hammer composition. You kind of want to be in one centralized area. And 30K going to look for the objective. We'll see if there's any kind of stalls coming out. It looks like they're rotating up to potentially take either their Knights or their boss. So a trade going to likely come out.
Oh, looks like we got a bit of a pause here as I think one of the players DC'd from the match, but that's okay. We'll get them back on in as soon as we can. And, of course, we will head back into the match. So far, a bit of a macro tug-of-war between the teams. 30K has gotten the lead in terms of kills. They're up 2-0 so far. But when it comes to the structure integrity, right now, BangBush is slightly ahead, but it definitely feels like we're in a position where either side can kind of teeter-totter.
Yeah, and the kills are 2-0 right now for 30K,
okay.
And they do have nearly a whole level of XP advantage. So, well, it does feel a little bit, it feels even, but for the first time in this series, it feels like 30K has some advantage.
Sure.
And when you're down 0-2 in the series, you'll take being in this situation anytime as 30K, because it really typically feels like series end either you either run out of steam in Game 3 in a best of 5, and it's very apparent, and you just get smashed in Game 3, and it's a quick 3-0. But if the game drags on, sometimes it feels like the winning team just runs out of any kind of steam left. Like
it's a marathon.
Yeah,
right?
You get to this point in Game 3 where things can very quickly spiral out of control if you are ahead and you don't really have enough left, depending on how the game goes. So 30K happy to be in this position, but in the series, definitely prefer to be up 2-0 as BangBush is.
I do like the constant movement. One thing that BangBush is doing very well, and they've been doing for the entire day, is they are not afraid to commit to overloading one side of the map and just leaving one of their teammates to just kind of just sit in that lane, get that experience going, and trust their other teammates to take advantages, right? If we saw a 4-man rotation down to Sergeant Hammer and say that it was missed out on comms, with a Sylvanas push, you can still just keep pushing the outside of the map and try and get a keep wall and whatnot. So they're really funneling their draft to be in a position where it's like, all right, we can give and take a lot, and we hope that when we take more than we give, which has been working out for them really well.
And it seems like they've come into all of these games so far with a very solid strategy and just macro plan.
Yeah.
We saw in the last game they were permanently attacking the global to exploit that lack of wave clear that 30K had drafted, just punishing the Liam on the Dahaka over and over again, which in most games it's not a winning strategy to go for the offlaner. The offlaners are typically these big, beefy boys that you just can't mess with the Blaze, the Dahaka. And to see that work and to be confident even after you don't get any kills the first time and just keep doing that.
I mean, it took 5 attempts to take him out, right?
But when they finally did, it was such a big payoff for them. So it's just having that confidence to have a plan, have a strategy coming into it, and stick with it, especially in a LAN where nerves can affect you so much. Being able to shrug something off and just being confident in your strategy ahead of time, very important.
Yeah, I mean, just to give a little bit of credit here to Liam as well, let's go ahead and pull up the his stats at the moment, because I don't think he's been picked off at all. No, he hasn't. He's been keeping up that soak as well. The Hogger adjustment has been enough to kind of keep the aggression off of him. It did wind up costing them fort, however, with Hogger being on the top side and the 3-man rotation, but that's a Sylvanas, and that's Cursed Hollow too. Cursed Hollow has always been one of these maps that have been back and forth for people of like, it's a little cheesy. Also, it's also really good. And like, it seems like you can kind of see how that is being handled by our teams with Sergeant Hammer and Sylvanas. You can see that cheese factor, and I'm kind of wondering how 30K is going to be able to handle themselves. Now, we are ready to go back into the match here. The second tribute will be grabbed by 30K, and we are going to jump in right when they are sieging the fort to the bottom.
So 30K does finish off that fort, so now structurally teams are even, but you do have a night camp being taken in response for BangBush. They're not just losing their bottom fort, they're taking something in response. So just good macro still, making the best of a bad situation. 30K potentially going for a very aggressive invade here, almost inside the base of BangBush. They will get it, but we'll see if they're able to actually make anything happen with that, or if it will be quickly cleared away by the Sergeant Hammer.
Sergeant Hammer already throwing down the mines. There is a camp pushing in the middle here. Not really bolstered out too much. They're kind of lurking and waiting to see what exactly 30K is doing to answer. Now, this third tribute coming up for 30K will be the Curse, and as we all know, the Curse can be quite devastating. At the same time, a huge fight happens. Arrow comes out. Cat doesn't get hit. He jumps in with the Murden, trying to lock down the back line. Blaze actually able to stay alive with the syndication as well, and overall, a 12-12 even fight is turning out to be in favor of BangBush as they actually hold it down.
What looked like it was going to be an incredible team fight engaged from Cattle, and then on the side of Liam as well with the Shockwave, gets completely nullified by Nagrom playing the Tyrael with that Sanctification. That looked like that was going to be gruesome for the side of BangBush, but they managed to keep not only their heroes alive, they have the Sylvanas, they managed to sneak the objective as well. They have Sylvanas Arrow still available, so it's Valkyrie versus Sylvanas Arrow as kind of the big ultimates. You have the Blunt Force Gun, but that's just damage that's not likely to make or break a fight on its own. So BangBush happy, especially down a talent tier, to come out ahead in that situation.
I love that fight because they did it in a choke where Sylvanas gets a lot of value, spreading out those arrows, getting the damage on everyone. Tyrael in a position where it's like, okay, if we need to, we can hold this choke. Beautiful engagement by them, and it earns them a tribute. And now with 13 about to connect, we will be on even footing for a bit. And the next tribute is where the map opens up like crazy.
Yeah, this is about as tense as it can be of a situation on the map. You have top with the Siege Giants pushing in for 30K. Well, it's 2-2 tributes. The next tribute, both teams level 13, or have their 13 talents. we're about to see an explosive team fight, and I think one team is about to make a big stride in this current game to pull themselves ahead. This is about to be probably the most important moment of the whole game.
So much weighs on this moment, Justin. You are completely correct. I want to make sure everyone understands how big of a deal this is. Liam trying to get on top of Skog. The heals coming in at the last second from Henning at the same time. Nagrin comes in with the Tyrael. Now remember, if there is going to be a 2 or 3 pickoff here, this is a tribute, this is a boss, this is a push in the top lane. All of these cards are available for both of our teams, and they are fighting for their life right now.
And the Sylvanas arrow that was saved from the last fight was actually used there to peel for himself, so it's going to be no Hanzo arrow and no Sylvanas arrow in this fight. 4 ults versus 4 ults. It's about to be an absolute bloodbath unless one team chickens out and runs home.
Which team do you think is willing to kind of just sit here and just poke all day? The Sergeant Hammer comp or the Hanzo comp?
The Sergeant Hammer comp should be more comfortable here. They also have their fort to retreat to if they need it. They have the tap advantage as well. So ideally, they're going to look to play very slowly with the Sergeant Hammer and just not get engaged on. All they need to do is not get engaged on, and they should slowly win it with their taps, with their fountain advantage.
Cattle trying desperately to get his teammate
pull out of Henning.
Henning gets hit there, but the bunker comes out and a certification to make sure they can jump in there safely. They're going to be spitting hot fire on the opposing team. Cattle getting low. Ancestral, not enough. It gets denied. Liam as well gets taken out, and with Legacy just barely missing out on that Ancestral healing. This is now going to be a boss play, a curse, and a push in the top lane.
Yeah, boss, tribute, curse. Absolutely just nuts power play here coming out from the side of BangBush. 30K not able to make the tough laydown at the fort. They have the defense of their fort. That's a difficult place to fight for 30K. Not able to do that. They opt for the fight, and they get punished heavily. We have the stalling out on taking the tribute so that the boss will be pushing with the curse.
Yeah.
So good macro, good just discipline and timing to play it, properly play it. The calm, cool, professional play coming out from BangBush, waiting to take the objective. Now they have the option whether they want to push with the objective and try to end the game or do anything else. They want nothing but blood. They want to end the game.
I mean, you have a Sylvanas and a Sergeant Hammer on a curse, right? Like, there's no defense here, no horde shot. This boss made you have to keep
this
if it's level
could be
contested.
Quicker than Garden, potentially. It's 12 minutes in, and they're pushing with their 16 advantage for a short window. We'll see if they can actually get some type of team fight with this 16 advantage, or if they're just going to play slow-ish with the boss.
In my brain, Khaldor is in that catapult right now, manning it, just throwing out a bunch of rocks, trying to help out his EU brethren as they try to go up 3-0. Nagrim steps up, holding down the back left. Scott comes in to follow up the damage that keep immediately falls, and that boss is healthy. It is so healthy, Justin.
That is a big boy, the boss. The Unstoppable comes out to be able to stop the Valkyrie engage, and 30K doesn't have a ton of tools. Cattle's going to have to go in here soon on Murd, and Kier gets rooted up. The BFG comes and takes him out. Well, that's 1 kill, and the boss is on core with about 60% HP. This is going to be a tough defense as Legacy's running away as well.
Yeah, Ultra's keeping up the sieging, and that core begins to fall. The shield being deleted. We do have Liam in the back line trying to do anything here, but that boss is still healthy. 40% HP. 2 members down for 30K, and BangBush is wanting to shut this out with a 3-0, and it looks like they definitely have it. Down to 30, down to 20, down to 10. Ladies and gentlemen, BangBush goes up 3-0 and continue in the winner's bracket.
That was a 12.5-minute game with 3 to 4 in kills. That's methodical coming out from BangBush.
I feel like all of these games have been very low kills, which is a testament to both these teams' skill overall. Like, matchups like that, whenever you're underneath 5 kills, but the match seems like a tug of war and you're on the brink of death consistently, and you get to a point where you have to just defend and die, like, those are good matches. Those are things you can be proud of. BangBush can be proud of this 3-0, but I'm sure 30K's going to walk away from it and be like, you know what? We could have probably won the day.
Yeah, surely they'll come away from it having learned something, which is going to be important because we do have the double elimination format with the losers bracket. So they're going to be hopefully learning from that.
You have the beautiful team walking around, handshakes all around. It always comes down to competitiveness. You always want to respect Europe. So good sportsmanship from all the teams. And you can already see it on 30K here. Like, they're figuring it out. They're like, all right, we'll come back tomorrow night strong. There's Khaldor coming in with the physical. Hey, guys, good job.
Just got out of the catapult. He was sieging down top.
The catapult was still alive. Hey, everybody. So as a reminder, don't go away quite yet. We will be having an interview with the winning team afterwards, and I want to make sure that you guys all know that tomorrow is the losers bracket. Tomorrow is the double elimination. That is when the teams, if they lose, they are knocked out of this tournament. We have everyone nice and set up. Today we got through our full winners bracket. We had a blast. We hope you guys did as well. I'm just really, really happy for just good HOTS action all day.
Yeah, that for me was by far my favorite series, I think, of the whole day. It was so back and forth. We had the fastest games there with the lowest kills. It's just really, really good Heroes of the Storm.
Yeah, and that's like things that I want to see more of, right? Like, that's what I want to see everybody try to strive for, is try to have that perfection, that teamwork down. I mean, honestly, not to like pick on Legacy or anything, but there was just 2 ancestral healings that if those connect, fight turns around, right? And that's a hard timing to do. Like, that's just Rhaegar in general. You're facing off against someone that's trying to isolate a target and blow them up before you get it off, and it's hard to read those sometimes. He was even earlier on the Cassia, but it just wasn't enough.
And even just like the small things like the Unstoppable coming out from Ultralisk at the end there when Kier looks for the engage with the Valkyrie, there's such small moments. That the thing that I love about HOTS so much is it's such a team game. You rely so heavily on your teammates, but there's still so many moments for these just team-winning, game-winning plays.
Yeah.
Like that, pressing, if Ultralisk doesn't press Unstoppable there on the Sergeant Hammer, they don't end the game there. He gets pulled in and Hammer gets deleted and 30K gets to keep living. So it's just these very small, just the tiniest of margins that come out on land.
It's
so
all game
sick.
sense, and that's when you can fully respect it, right? It's all about those reads and knowing what's coming. You see a Cassie that's been sitting back the entire time using Q, but suddenly she takes 2 steps up forward, and you're like, wait a minute, and you slam out the trait to make sure you get the Unstoppable. It's just like so good, those small moments overall.
Thank you everybody for watching the video today. I hope that you enjoyed the show and the commentary. And keep in mind that the spoiler protection that is going to run for the rest of the video is made possible by all the support on patreon.com. So guys, if you want to support my work, if you want to help me start new projects and keep the spoiler protection in place, please consider heading over to patreon.com/Khaldor. There's also a link in the YouTube description, and check that out. Thanks in advance, and see you guys next time with more esports coverage here on Khaldor TV. Have a great day.